All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're plugging into one of Pakistan's most vital economic sectors. We're going to take a look inside the 7 key companies that are quite literally keeping the lights on and the whole country connected. So let's get to it.
But before we get into the names, let's start with a quick question for you. Really think about it for a second. What's that one invisible force that links a gigantic factory, a buzzing city, and, the phone that's probably in your hand right now? The answer? Well, it's pretty much the foundation of all modern life.
And yep, that force is electricity, and it's all delivered through this incredibly complex web of cables and electrical goods. So in this explainer, we're going to meet the major players from the Pakistan Stock Exchange who are building this essential network and really, truly shaping the nation's future.
We're going to start at the highest level, with the real heavy hitters. These are the companies that are forging the industrial backbone of the entire country. In this section, we're looking at 3 giants: Elektron Limited, or PAEL, Pakistan Cables Limited, PCAL, and of course the local arm of the global powerhouse, Siemens Pakistan.
So each of these giants kind of has its own unique role to play. You've got PAEL, which is this huge domestic player that does both industrial energy, we're talking transformers and switchgear, and also has a foot in the consumer market. Then there's PCL, one of the oldest and most trusted names out there, totally laser-focused on connectivity, making the physical wires for both power and data. And finally, you have Siemens, bringing that global, high-tech engineering genius to the table with sophisticated automation and energy gear.
So why does this matter? Well, the big takeaway here is that these 3 companies aren't just selling products, they're basically nation builders. What they make are the absolute fundamental building blocks for everything, from the national power grid all the way to the communication networks that connect every single one of us. Okay, so that covers the massive industrial backbone. But now, let's talk about how all that power actually makes its way into our day-to-day lives. We're shifting from that macro-level grid down to the companies that really shape our homes and our lifestyles.
And when you talk about household names in Pakistan, one brand is instantly recognizable: Waves. But here's the thing, it's important to know there are actually 2 different companies we need to look at here.
And this difference really shows the brand's evolution perfectly. On one side, you have Waves Home Appliances. That's the classic legacy brand that families have trusted for decades for things like fridges and ACs. Then on the other side, you've got WAVESAPP, which is the modern continuation of that brand, pushing into new, innovative solutions for both homes and even industries. So it's the same name you trust, just with a really sharp focus on the future.
And this is such a critical link in the whole chain. While the industrial giants are building the power grid, these are the brands that make that power useful and comfortable for all of us. They are the final, tangible touchpoint for the entire electrical sector.
All right, our final category is maybe the most interesting one. These are the companies that don't just make hardware. They connect all the dots, linking up technology and finance to really fuel the entire ecosystem.
Here, we're going to look at 2 very different but equally important enablers: TPL Corp and First Capital Securities.
Okay, first up, TPL. Now, at first glance, you might be thinking, wait, a tech conglomerate? What's that doing on a list about electrical goods? But TPL is the perfect example of a modern industrial connector. Through its work in mapping, vehicle tracking, and other tech solutions, it provides this digital intelligence layer that helps all that physical infrastructure run way more efficiently.
And if TPL provides the tech brains, well, FCL provides the fuel. As a financial services firm, its whole job is to connect these big industrial companies with the capital markets. It makes sure they have the money they need for huge, long-term projects, for expansion, and for innovation. And what this all really tells us is that a modern industrial sector can't just survive on hardware anymore. It absolutely needs the smarts from tech companies like TPL and the financial muscle from firms like FCL to really grow and compete on a bigger stage. So, let's zoom back out and tie all this together. What have we actually seen? Well, we've seen how a small group of key companies are literally wiring up and connecting Pakistan's future. It really all comes down to this number: 7. Just 7 companies that represent this massive ecosystem, and they're responsible for everything from those giant industrial transformers all the way down to the air conditioner keeping a family comfortable. So, what are the big takeaways here? Well, first, this sector is way more diverse than you might think. It's not just one thing. Second, it serves 3 really key functions: building the industrial base, serving us, the consumers, and then providing that tech and financial connectivity to make it all work. And finally, these companies aren't just part of the economy, they are absolutely fundamental to its progress. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've seen how industrial, consumer, tech and financial connections are shaping today. But as technology just keeps evolving at this dizzying speed, what do you think the next critical connection will be that defines Pakistan's economic future? Thanks for tuning in.